Hello, fellow Tigers. This is the Academic Success Center again, here to give you advice on how to maximize your success in college. Today we'll examine procrastination. Procrastination is something we all do, up to the most successful of people. In simple terms, procrastination is delaying or postponing a task, but there are two caveats worth noting. One, it is a delay even though you expect that delay to come at a cost. You know there will be consequences to not doing the task. And two, procrastination is learned behavior, and with that comes hope, the ability to unlearn it. So, if we understand the cost and we can unlearn procrastination, why do we still do it? In many ways, procrastination isn't a time management issue. A lot of people think if they just move around their schedule, utilize a planner more efficiently, or do a few breathing exercises to focus, then procrastination will be solved. But the thing is, procrastination isn't about how you manage your time. It's about how you manage your emotions. Procrastination is our way of coping with difficult emotions or negative moods such as boredom, anxiety, frustration, or self-doubt. When you procrastinate, you are more focused on the immediate urgency of managing those negative moods than getting on with the task. So it's important to reflect on the nature of our procrastinations, the why of our aversion to a given task. Maybe it's simply because the task is inherently unpleasant, like cleaning your room or watching daytime talk shows. But sometimes procrastination involves deeper feelings, such as low self-esteem, self-doubt, or anxiety. If you have a big research paper coming up and all you can manage to do is stare at a blank document, thoughts and feelings can easily creep in. I'm not smart enough. I was never good at writing. What will my classmates or my professor think of it? What if I do a bad job? And if you let those emotions take control, it becomes much easier to set that task aside to go reorganize your souvenir spoon collection instead. Hey, hands off those. But of course, that task of writing the paper is still there. It still needs to get done, and so your procrastination only compounds the negative associations you have with it. Ironically, we often procrastinate to avoid those negative feelings, only to end up in a worse state later. This is what researchers call present bias, our tendency to prioritize short-term needs ahead of long-term ones. Now the question remains, how then do we get at the root cause of procrastination? As I mentioned at the beginning, procrastination is about emotions, not productivity. As a student, you need to come to terms with those thoughts and feelings. There needs to be, as writer Charlotte Lieberman has said, a better reward than avoidance. One that can relieve our challenging feelings in the present moment without causing harm to our future selves. But what does that look like? For one, try forgiveness and self-compassion. Remind yourself you're human, and everyone procrastinates sometimes. Studies show that self-compassion supports motivation and personal growth, while also decreasing stress. Begin planning a way to close the gap between the task and your expectations. Make a commitment to meeting those tasks with kindness instead of regret. Second, maybe consider who is doing the task with you. Highly productive people can make tasks more fun, or even make procrastination so unpleasant you would rather make progress on that paper, or study for a test, or make flashcards instead of delaying the inevitable. There is research to back this up. One study found that people's productivity increased by 10% if they sat next to someone who was twice as productive as they are. A third strategy might be to consider the next action. Dr. Peichel, professor at Carleton University, suggests at the start of a given task to consider the next action as a mere possibility. Ask yourself, what's the next action I'd take on this if I were going to do it, even though I'm not? Maybe you would put the date and your name at the top of that blank document, or maybe you would write the first sentence or do an outline. Don't wait to be in a mood to do a certain task. Motivation follows action. Get started, and you'll find your motivation follows, he says. And that's a wrap. Thanks again for listening. Now, stop watching Avengers Endgame for the 10th time. Iron Man still dies. And start studying for that exam you have next week.